think that if you think that I personally would be an advocate to release someone who has potentially raped another human being with a gun by putting a gun to their mouth, you're delusional, okay? Here's another story of ICE raiding a Newark, New Jersey restaurant and apprehending someone. Today, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents raided a local establishment in the city of Newark, detaining undocumented residents as well as citizens without producing a warrant. One of the detainees was a U.S. military veteran who suffered the indignity of having the legitimacy of his military documentation questioned. This egregious act is a plain violation of the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which guarantees the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Newark will not stand idly while people are being unlawfully terrorized. I'll be holding a press conference in alliance with partners ready and willing to defend and protect civil and human rights. Details to come. FBI went to a well-known immigration lawyer in Rhode Island's office and raided the office as well in Providence. Just so you understand, all of this stuff that's happening is going to have, more impact exactly like this. It's just beginning. Fox was given access to ICE's Boston raids. Here's the story. Just indicative of what the next 4 years are going to look like.
Briefing on their targets.
Good morning, everyone.
Exclusive access to do propaganda for the state's most violent operations here. Wonderful stuff. Bill Malugan, national correspondent for Fox News, says we were given exclusive access to ICE's elite Boston team as they went into the sanctuary jurisdiction and targeted the worst of the worst criminal aliens, including a combative Haitian man who said he won't go back and scream, "Fuck Trump, Biden forever." Other targets arrested included an MS-13 gang member with the Interpol Red Notice for aggravated murder, another MS-13 gang member facing gun charges, and multiple rape and sexual assault suspects, several of whom had been released from sanctuary jurisdictions with ICE detainers ignored. One of the MS-13 suspects had been released by sanctuary jurisdiction the day before our embed. When ICE found him, he was with another man who ICE determined is also in the U.S. illegally. ICE arrested him and will seek to deport him, telling me he would never have been caught up if the MS-13 suspect would have been handed to them at jail. This is collateral, and Tom Homan warns security sanctuary cities will see more of it.
It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston.
I saw the photos, or not the photos, but like pieces of this video circulating all over Twitter. I need you to understand something very serious, okay? I need you to understand something. They're doing this to justify what is yet to come. And some of it has already begun. Some of the dragnets have already started. Okay? The first implementation of this is the stuff that ICE already works on and worked on under the Biden administration as well. The difference is you didn't hear stories about it. Okay? And it's not just ICE, it's local law enforcement working on it as well. If your assumption is that sanctuary cities with local law enforcement, or even sanctuary cities that have local law enforcement, don't detain and prosecute criminal migrants, like migrants that have done heinous crimes, okay, you are out of your mind. Okay? This is just a continuation of similar operations that already existed under the Biden administration and every other administration as well. But they're using this and beefing it up with propaganda, Israel style, to make it seem like they're only going after criminal migrants and that the previous administration simply wasn't going after criminal migrants.
This team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
What's the likelihood? If I was a journalist, I would investigate when he got TPS. The likelihood that he got TPS under Trump is insanely high. Might have gotten it under Biden as well. But I'm just going to say it. The likelihood that he got TPS under Trump is very high. Trump also offered TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing.
Oh my God. The problem with the endless faucet of propaganda coming from this story is twofold. Number one, of course, there are migrants who are capable of doing heinous crimes, whether it be, something like drug dealing all the way to rape and murder. Okay. The problem there is that this plays a role in the broader assumption that all migrants are doing this. Okay. Secondly, these are charges, not convictions. And last but not least, again, I hope that there are good journalists out there who are digging deep and figuring out exactly what happened in the process of these people being released. Okay? Once again, being charged with a crime is very different than, being convicted of a crime. Oh, come on, Hassan, please. What do you mean? Oh, I'm coping because I said I hope good journalists will actually dive deep and try to figure it out. And the phrase criminal conviction is pulling a lot of weight here because in MA, a criminal conviction could literally mean he was convicted 17 times for driving without a license. Not to say that the Haitian guy wasn't a legit criminal, but yeah, MA criminal law is one of the most regressive in the nation, surprisingly. Very much like California. Yeah. How do you know they're just charges? Because that's what they are saying. Also, if he was convicted, he'd be in jail. That's how I know they're charges. What are you talking about? Unless you think that when someone goes through the criminal justice system and is convicted of a crime, whether it be drug dealing or whether it be rape, they just kind of let you go. No, they mentioned it. They said that these are charges and they said that they're suspects. As in, the criminal justice system has not decided on whether or not these people are convicted. Having said that, I'm not saying that they didn't do these things, right? I'm not saying that at all. Okay, Hassan defending rapists live is the funniest thing. You are such a fucking moron, dude. You are actually a moron. I'm not defending rapists. I'm defending due process. The fuck are you talking about? What an insane thing to say. What a cool bait, man. Yeah. It's ridiculous of me to say that it doesn't matter if it's an immigrant or an American citizen. Everyone still deserves due process. What a ridiculous standard.
Charges. ICE says.
And not only is it that everyone deserves due process, but also beyond that, I'm stating that these are charges, and if they were actually anything beyond charges, they would already be in prison. You were the second biggest streamer of 2024? Wait, no way. Really? Second top chatting streamer. God damn. That's pretty wild. Your joke from yesterday has begun. The Pecker Bible introduced the verse, love thy neighbor unless they're Guatemalan, then report them. What? What is this AI overview?
He was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who...
Okay. The process here for someone like this to be released back, it means that like a judge didn't consider them to be a flight risk or didn't think the charges were valid, right? Am I misunderstanding something here? Because if like in the criminal justice system, before we get to the collateral side of the story, currently as it stands in the criminal justice system, if you do a crime, okay, especially a crime like murder, okay, or any kind of crime really, immigrant or not, it does not matter. If they deem you to be a flight risk, you will be kept in detention until your court date. Dun 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 dun. Sorry. It's the same bail release process as everyone else, so not considered a flight risk or a threat to the community. That's what I mean. Like, that means that either something in the charges made the judge assume that they were not a flight risk or a threat to others. I wonder, I really, really, really want to find, I really want to find out what they actually did. Like what the actual charges even were or what the investigation looked like. I would love to, I wish that we had some investigative reporters that could just like dig deep and figure this out. Try to figure out like what exactly these people did. Because while I do not believe the criminal justice system is moderate or just, I do believe that the criminal justice system normally is it goes above and beyond in terms of keeping people behind bars. So this goes entirely against that. What? Do illegal immigrants deserve due process if they genuinely came here illegally? Should they have access to our courts and lawyers and such? Yes. What? Yes. 100. Yes. What? Yeah, they're human beings, man. What are you talking about? The criminal justice system is not supposed to operate with this kind of double standard. You understand that, right? That's a dangerous precedent. That's a dangerous mentality to have. Yes, everyone deserves human rights, including some of the worst scumbags you've ever met. Because you don't measure the criminal justice system by like the heinous acts of a singular individual being prosecuted. You measure it by someone who might be innocent, who might be put under the same circumstances while still being innocent. Okay? That's the entire purpose of due process. You have to make sure that especially considering how devastating it is to deny someone of their humanity, of their freedoms, of their freedom of movement, of their freedom to have whatever kind of schedule they want to have. Such a libbed up take. What? No. I like that we're having a conversation about what kind of people we should deny human rights to. Like, that's insane. It is in the Constitution, I know. And like I said earlier, there's some good in the Constitution and some bad. We moved on. The Bible is woke and gay, and you know what else is woke and gay? The Constitution.
He was previously removed from the United States, so he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day.
Why do they are coming from countries that bear no responsibilities? Brother, let me ask you a question, okay? In this hypothetical, let's say there is a person who is a serial killer who is from, I don't know, El Salvador, right? This person from El Salvador came into America and did a serial killing. Do you want to send that person back to El Salvador and hope that they actually go through the criminal justice system there? Or do you want to ensure that that person cannot harm others and, bring them to justice and keep them in prison? Because once someone is doing serial killing or heinous crimes in general, or any crime really, undocumented or not, the criminal justice system will put them in jail. Okay? That's how it works. So what do you want? What do you think is better? What do you think is a better process? The second question I have for you is, do you think that this conversation that we're having is a conversation that, people before us did not have and then came up with the solution of arresting and jailing them here in the United States of America rather than deporting them? Seems like a Band-Aid solution. You should focus on countries they're coming from so they can take care of their own people. What are you talking about? These people are here already. I'm asking you a direct question. If someone is here already illegally, okay, and they did a crime, you want to deport them. I'm saying if their crime, as long as they've done something heinous, no, I'm fine with them being jailed in America. I think it's wild. I think it's actually wild to just be like, nah, we should just deport everyone that's done a crime. It's weirdly enough more on the abolitionist slant than anything else, to be honest.
Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
And guys, shortly after we finished filming, ICE Boston told us they arrested 2 more targets in other parts of town away from our cameras. One of those targets is a previously deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested for raping a woman while putting a gun in her mouth. The other target they got is a Haitian man who first flew into the United States in...
Wait a minute. So, so they deported him? Maybe they should have put him in jail. I don't understand. Like, what? So they just deported him.
Deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested for raping a woman.
Oh, he was arrested for raping a woman with
putting a gun in her mouth. The other target they got is a Haitian man who first flew into the United States in 2023 as part of President Biden's controversial migrant flights mass parole program. Well, they just picked him up yesterday because he's been arrested locally for sexual assault. We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malhusian, it was fascinating to watch all of that. I think I was just saying to Bill, this is terrible for Joe Biden and the legacy that he tried to leave behind. A question from me. How soon will they actually be leaving the country? Does that take a long time?
It depends what country they're from. If they're from cooperable.
They released him after capturing him, but said we did it for the messages sent. Scary shit. No, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. And it sucks because, like, Fox News obviously is not a real news outlet, and it's a propaganda machine that is slanted firmly in far right politics. So you can't. Your takeaway here is so stupid. I'm asking completely logically, okay, from a point of logic, why would the local police department release someone who put a gun in the mouth of another person while raping them, okay, after arresting them? That's my question. And I feel like this is a very valid question to ask. This is not me saying like those guys didn't do it. This is not me being woke. My question is simply this. Why? Okay? Why did the local courts release a person who was arrested for putting a gun to the mouth of someone and raping them? Okay? That to me is a major problem because I don't want someone who has raped someone with a gun to be free. Okay? I don't want that. And I don't think many people in here want that either. I think that that person should be in jail. I think that that person should be detained. Okay? So what I don't understand is what broke in the structure that that person was allowed to remain free. Something does not make sense. Do you see what I'm saying? My point here is not, oh, let's let him go. Okay? My point is there are certain crimes, okay, if there is enough evidence that the person that you're apprehending committed those crimes, require you to stay behind bars until your court date. There are very few people here that would argue against someone who raped a woman with a gun, okay, walking free before their court date. I don't think that this is an especially radical take. All right? Although my initial assessment of the situation when I hear something like this is that the clearance rates for sexual assault cases are so insanely low because cops are horrible at prosecuting sexual assault charges. They are awful at it. And I'm not even talking about the rape kit backlogs in general, just across the board. This is not something that specifically pertains to undocumented migrants. This is just across the board. As we already know from the data that is readily available, undocumented migrants across the board for all matter of different crimes, non-citizens in general, undocumented migrants and documented immigrants as well, are responsible for significantly less crime per capita. Okay? Whether it be homicides, rapes, anything, right? So what could have happened in this process? Something does not add up. And if your answer to this question that I'm asking is, oh, it's woke, that's why, I can't have a normal conversation with you. Okay? Bro's pretending not to read chat and keeps changing his arguments. This is terrible to listen to. Maybe he was released because he was innocent law. Maybe he was released because he was innocent. Is that what he has done? He was not released before the court date. He was found innocent in court. Okay, do you have evidence for this? Because if you do have evidence for this, then that's great. That literally, that's a fairly significant point, don't you think? And no, I'm not pretending not to read chat. I'm making an important point here. Give me the evidence. It's crazy because there's 35. Also, my question here quite literally is, if someone has done such a heinous crime, right? Or arrested for such a heinous crime, not convicted, okay? If they were arrested for such a heinous crime and then went through the court process, or at the very least, instead of going through the court process, like was released, okay? Because that kind of a crime, undocumented migrant or not, doesn't matter, is exactly the type of crime where you're still a danger to society, okay? You're a danger to others. Like, I can't see an American judge going, yeah, Mr. Honduran migrant man, I'm so woke, I'm going to release you. You know, I know that you did this, but I'm gonna, like, there's decent amount of evidence that you might have done this heinous crime, but I'm gonna release you because sanctuary cities, and I also think that you should go out and do this more, hopefully down the line. Like, that's not something that I think took place. Ironically enough, that's what Republicans are saying whenever they say, like, that's what happened. They're letting these guys go because of woke. That's what they're saying. They just never actually think about it. Plymouth man charged with raping woman outside a Main Street bar. 21-year-old suspects in custody of immigration officials. A Plymouth man faces possible deportation after being accused of raping a woman. What? No, I don't want to donate. Is this the one? Luan Lucas de Souza Goncalves, 21, is being held on a $1,000 bail, pleading not guilty to rape and indecent assault and battery charges on Monday in Plymouth District Court. He is in the custody of ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, at the Plymouth County Correctional Facility off Long Pond Road. Earlier this year, a Plymouth County probate judge ruled that de Souza should not be sent back to his native Brazil because he had been neglected and abandoned by his father. But it's unclear whether immigration authorities accepted the ruling and offered him a special status that allows abused children to apply for permanent residence here. De Souza, the alleged victim, whose name is redacted from the incident reports, told Plymouth police vastly different stories about what happened early Sunday morning. She said she was raped. He said they had consensual sex. Plymouth police were patrolling the downtown area at around 1:20 a.m. when they were drawn to a commotion on Middle Street, near the side door of the Main Street Sports Bar and Grill. They said they encountered a man screaming at De Souza Goncalves. "Get away from her," he said, referring to the alleged victim who was crying and hugging another female, police wrote. As officers approached a group of people outside the bar, a male witness said, "Don't let him leave. He just raped her." The woman was in hysterics, Plymouth Patrol Officer Dylan Ralph wrote, profusely crying, unable to catch her breath, visibly shaken. After she calmed down, Ralph asked her what happened. She told him she was at the Main Street Sports Bar and Grill with her friends when she met De Souza. They began talking and exchanged Snapchat profiles. They eventually went outside and began kissing and touching each other over their clothes. She said she initially consented but changed her mind. The alleged victim said she told De Souza she needed to go back to her friends, but he ignored her and began to further advance himself onto her. She told him no multiple times, she said, but he ignored it. Okay, this is pretty open and shut. What the fuck? She told another officer that he had exposed his penis and tried to get her to touch it. Later at the station, officers noticed that his fly was open, the police report says, but De Souza, who primarily speaks Portuguese, told police he and the woman had consensual sex and that he used a condom. I asked Mr. De Souza if she ever said she wanted to stop or no to anything he did. He said she did not. At Police HQ, he was interviewed with the aid of a Portuguese translator. This is not the guy. This is a different person. You just sent me like a random case. No, this isn't the same story because the Fox News story isn't in Plymouth. It's in East Boston. I mean, he might actually live in East Boston, though. You know what I mean? But I do think this is a different case. No, this was the one listed through a couple articles. But there's no mention of a gun at all. The Fox News dude said very clearly, not just a gun, but put a gun to the mouth of the victim. Please tell me your posture on anti-custodial policy. I'm a firm and committed believer that judges should still have the discretion to detain people until their court date, depending on the severity of the crime, the likelihood of flight risk, and also depending on whether or not this person is a danger to others if released. Someone who has committed a rape would fit that profile, regardless of how wealthy or white they might be. Anyway. Like, that's crazy. If you think that I personally would be an advocate to release someone who has potentially raped another human being with a gun by putting a gun to their mouth, you're delusional, okay? Like, call me jank if you want. I guess I'm not so max left after all, you know? No, I think that, like, while I do still believe in rehabilitation for that person, okay, at least until the trial, at least until the trial is over. Yeah. Believing Fox News? No, I'm not saying. Wait, what are you talking about? I'm talking about in a hypothetical. I'm not talking about that person in particular. I'm saying on theory. I'm not talking about this individual. We're literally in the process of trying to figure out if this is a real story or not. What are you talking about? Of course I don't immediately believe Fox News. Why do we take this 10-minute sidestep to begin with if I just took what Fox News was saying at face value? Hello? What a crazy thing to say. Anyway, ICE could also be detaining people awaiting trial from the jails. They're being housed and letting the public assume they got them on the streets. That too, yes. Okay, thanks. But do you think that actual custody and incarceration can fix it worldwide? Not in the way that it looks like in the United States of America. That much is obviously clear to me. But yes. Also, yeah, the article says the guy they arrested is Honduran, not Brazil. Trump officials take notice of illegal immigrant crackdown in Boston. Glad we're deporting him. Yeah. This dude is Brazilian. It's a totally different dude. My Ukrainian grandpa was deported for manslaughter. He got off free. So that's what I mean. That's what's funny about this. Like, I mean, hey, listen, your Ukrainian grandpa got one off. You know what I mean? W for him, I guess. But like that is the alternative. You know what I mean? When you do deportation, then you literally don't let low-key don't let victims. You don't let the criminal justice system go through the process of like prosecuting and detaining this person and possibly offering them some criminal penalties. You know, it's so strange to me that like right-wingers normally would be all on board, but for some reason when on this issue they're like, nah, just ship him out, you know? Like what, are you just anti-justice? Is that what it is? Like Republicans are just taking an anti-justice slant. If you have been victimized by an undocumented migrant, then we don't want the justice system to work. Because, and it's ironic that they take this position because they simultaneously are taking this position while under the assumption that like a bunch of people will go and get deported even if they haven't actually done the crime, and that's good. It's doubly unjust. Like we should detain and deport every single person suspected of a crime means that you literally want people that have not been punished, have not been found guilty, to be deported in more instances than not falsely, right? And also simultaneously, people who did actually do that shit don't even get fucking punished in that process. It makes no sense. You're so horny to like deport as many people as possible in this fantasy that you are literally causing victims to not get their day in court. This is what I don't understand. Context: there are large Haitian and Hispanic populations in East Boston, and it looks like that's where this story was shot. East Boston is a very rough neighborhood, very poor and over-policed. East Boston's court is notoriously rough on criminal defendants. So the assumption that these people weren't held if the crime they committed was so violent is literally nonsensical. Yeah, that's like everywhere in America too. The only people that commit violent and heinous crimes that avoid scrutiny, additional scrutiny, or detention from the criminal justice system are rich white people. Okay? These guys will be like, these guys have created a fantasy in their minds where they think like illegals get a get out of jail free card, while simultaneously they want to do that to people who might have actually committed heinous crimes by just deporting them swiftly instead of going through the processes of the criminal justice system, which is something that I just don't understand. It literally doesn't make sense in my mind. I'm like you've invented a reality where you think that judges see someone and they're like, well, this person's undocumented, we should just let him go after they've done like a serious crime, okay? And in order to go against that wrong that you have fantasized, now you think everyone that is even suspected of doing a crime should be swiftly deported from the country. And in the process, you actually end up giving a get out of jail free card to people that have done serious crimes. What a strange phenomena.